So, they asked me for the top 10
Yeah.
of my favorite songs.
After out of how many songs that you have?
So I said to your producer, but my iPod has got 17,000 songs.
Yo,
So how do I choose
choose 10.
10 songs?
New day, new drama in South Africa. According to new reports, gold digger Romeo Kumalo transfers 100 million of his wife's money into his girlfriend's secret account. Please like the video as you watch. In a world in which money, power, and relationships collide with the most unexpected ways, the story of Romeo Kumalo, the so-called gold digger, is a blatant reminder of the risks of blind confidence, love, and financial authority. The story includes the bold and controversial Kumalo decision to transfer 100 million of his wife's money to his secret girlfriend's account, a step that left a lot of hesitation. This story is not just betrayal. It is a complex network of lies, greed, and deception, woven around the welfare of wealth and dangerous appeal to the double life. It is an issue that caught the attention of the audience, and with the emergence of the story, the shocking details continue to appear. Romeo Kumalo is a name that is synonymous with wealth, ambition, and magic in South Africa, and people often lead to believing that he is a man who possesses integrity. Abroad, Romeo seems to be an erect citizen, a family man married to one of the richest women in the country, and she is a respectable businesswoman in itself. However, under this crust of respect, the man who is led by Sharia hunger lies in exchange for money and status. Romeo's rise to the lead is a story about strategic networks and unimaginable ambition. He made his name in the world of companies, where he held high-level positions, made smart investments, and soon accumulate wealth. Despite his general image as a typical husband, some began to whisper with a doubtful moral compass. No one knew that these whispers would turn into a huge scandal. The term gold digger is often used to describe someone who gets married or enters into a relationship primarily to the financial benefits he provides. But in the case of Romeo, he did not marry simply for wealth. I designed a plan. His wife, who married her under the guise of love, was incredibly rich and inherited millions of dollars. Soon Romeo became known in the business circles as her supportive husband, a role that he earned not only financial security, but the influence and access to some of the most distinguished circles in the country. However, the true nature of Romeo was less loyal and more opportunistic. With their marriage, Romeo's needs and desires have grown. The search for ways to live in a luxury life began without putting a lot of money in it. For him, his wife's wealth was just a way to achieve an end. But his plans will soon collapse in a way that no one can imagine. The post-afternoon period was when the first signs of Romeo betrayed began to appear. His wife, who has always kept an iron grip on her financial resources, is recently interested in contradictions in her financial records. Some of its banking data appeared unusually complex, and there were contradictions in the transfer of money between its accounts. Initially, it looked like a simple mistake, but during the investigation, it was shocked by what she discovered to the core. For several months, Romeo Kumalo transferred a water amount of 100 million people to a secret account abroad under the name of an unknown woman, her lover. Moreover, the transfers were carefully disguised as legitimate commercial transactions, making it difficult for anyone to follow the origin of the money. Romeo's wife, when discovering transportation operations, was initially surprised. She could not believe that her husband, the man in which he built a life, was not only betrayed her confidence, but was also hiding a second life. The realization of the 100 million of her wealth, which she gained as hard as it was excluded in the hands of his girlfriend, was not just a financial blow, it was an emotional earthquake. The identity of Romeo's girlfriend remained a secret deprived for some time. But with the deepening of the investigation, more details appeared about this mysterious woman. She was not just a random lover. In fact, it was in the picture much longer than anyone was suspected. This woman, what Romeo met during one of his many commercial trips abroad, was the subject of his emotions for several years. He convinced her that they were supposed to be together, and promised her wealth and well-being. She played her role well, while maintaining a low level while enjoying stolen wealth fruits. It was the fact that she had an account created in her name in a far country, evidence of her role in this network of lies. But what people really shocked is that Romeo was converting money into this account for more than a year without his wife suspected something. transport operations have become a regular event. Each one is more important than the latter. He left his ability to keep up with this interface of innocence, despite the astronomical amounts concerned, much wondering about cunning and deviation. Once the news of Romeo betrayed, the media frenzy began. Stories of his lifestyle, exorbitant purchases, and secret travel with his mistress filled newspapers. There was also the issue of 100 million that was mitigated was supposed to be used for the future of the family, for charitable contributions and long-term investments. Instead, it was dispelled on a secret life of luxury that was not supposed to be known. With the details of his relationship outside the framework of marriage, Romeo's wife was forced to make a difficult decision. She could fight for the return of stolen money, but emotional damage was much greater than any cash loss. I cut betrayal deeply, and for the first time, I realized that the man who loved and reliable it had used it to make his own gains. This was followed by the legal battles, as its lawyers sought to restore funds from external accounts. But the network of homogeneous international banking laws made it difficult. There were whispers of corrupt officials and non-conscientious bankers who had helped Romeo in his scheme, but nothing can be proven permanently. The businessman who was now transferring was a symbol of greed and betrayal, and he heard him forever from his actions. As for Romeo Kumalo, the future seems uncertain. The repercussions of his scandalous relationship and financial theft left him isolated from many of his former friends and partners. His wealth may have grown, but his reputation was damaged. It is now a warning story, one of a man who could not resist the temptations of money and power, and eventually lose everything dear. The transfer of 100 million, and it is now the subject of countless news articles, will undoubtedly follow him for the rest of his life. Whether he will face criminal charges still must be seen, but the emotional losses of his betrayal will never leave his wife, who pledged to move forward, rebuild her life and her career without being the man who was trusting her one day. The story of Romeo Kumalo and its bold transfer is 100 million is the story of betrayal, greed, and the destructive power of lying. It is a blatant reminder that appearances can be deceptive, and even most trusted people in our lives may harbor hidden motives. In the end, the victims of Romeo's actions, the wife, family, and people who believed in him one day, must rebuild his looks. The fall of Romeo has become a general scene, but it is a special tragedy for those who were injured along the way. As for the friend in the shadow, she must also deal with the consequences of her participation, because in the end, no one escaped from seeking wealth at any cost.